So Bad Business added in a new special class weapon to the game. Goes by the name of the Gunpad. And I wanted to talk about where does this weapon fit into the meta, and is it a good weapon, bad weapon, should you bother buying it, or should you pass it up for something better? So, what is the meta of the game, and what does even meta mean? So, I imagine a lot of people play this game casually. So, when you hear someone say meta, it's an acronym for most effective tactic available. This means running the best gun that you can. There is no point to run gun X if gun Y is better in every single way. And it's about using tactics that are extremely effective up against whatever map you're on or style of players you're against. Most lower skill players just say, oh, you're tryharding. But more skilled players are just playing by the meta. So, what about the weapon stats? This weapon starts off with 35 damage to the legs, 40 damage to the chest, and 52 damage to the head. At about 125 meters where it starts to drop off. Most notably, it does 52 base. This allows it to 3-hit headshot up to the range where it starts to drop off. That's very important to remember, as this is the stock weapon is fully automatic at 450 or 540 RPM. While nothing impressive on its own, it's a good enough fire rate that allows a good DPS. Magazine size of 30 is average for weapons similar to this. Handling of 70 is rather similar stats to weapons that you can compare to this gun. And mobility of 90 is very comparable to assault rifles. So, this weapon is probably one of the most unique weapons in the game. Instead of being its own standalone weapon, like the Tavor 21, the Desert Eagle, the P90, this weapon borrows stats from already existing guns. When you first get the weapon, it runs similarly to an AK-47. Its attachments changes the stats to 4 other weapons. The M1911, the FAL, the M249, and the P90 unlocked in that order. I've only used the M1911 so far. I've not unlocked any of the other 3 weapons. But going off that, the AK variant performs closer to an AK, and the M1911 variant performs closer to the M1911, I'm going to assume the other 3 weapons perform similar to their weapon, with similar stats to match it. For the sake of brevity and keeping the video less than 2 hours long, I'm only going to talk about the AK-47 variant, or the no attachment variant of this weapon. So where does this weapon sit in the meta? The weapon has very low recoil and very good hip fire, combined with 52 damage to the headshots and 90 mobility. That allows this weapon to perform extremely well in the current meta of being very fast moving and never stopping for any reason. Unlike some weapons like the L85, where you need to stop an ADS to accurately hit shots, you don't have to slow down. The hipfire of this weapon allows you to hit well over 75% of your shots close range. It's all about how well you can aim the weapon yourself. So as far as looking at the meta, this weapon performs extremely well in it. So how does this weapon perform towards the archetype of the classes in the game? Comparing it to the overall style of assault rifles, this weapon fits in perfectly. It is an assault rifle. It has good damage, good magazine capacity. The only downside is the rate of fire is rather mediocre. Looking towards SMGs, this weapon is in a rather player-reliant area. While you could very well kill someone with an SMG before they kill you, it is heavily reliant upon you hitting headshots. Since the SMGs as a whole move faster than assault rifles and fire faster, they can DPS you down quicker. SMGs are probably going to be one of the best weapons to counter this weapon particularly. As far as LMGs, this weapon performs extremely well. It moves very quick compared to LMGs, and it has a good mix of damage to fire rate. LMG users are going to find it difficult to deal with you unless they're running specific LMGs just to counter you. Up against rifles, this weapon is going to struggle if they can maintain range on you. With a headshot damage of only 36.4 at lowest damage, this weapon does not perform well at long range. You want to close the gap as soon as you can. If you don't, rifle users will pick you off far before you can do meaningful damage. Up against shotguns, it's going to be very hit or miss. You can very quickly kill someone with a shotgun at close range, but they can very quickly kill you. It's going to come down to how good you are at using the weapon and how good you are at utilizing cover. Now, what about comparing it to meta weapons specifically? For the assault rifle, we're looking at the M4A1. This weapon just cannot compete with an M4A1 if it's fully modified. The M4A1 just moves too quick, has too much ammo capacity, and can just run circles around this weapon stat-wise. Up against a very good player with a modified M4 suited to close-range combat, the Gunpad is going to struggle up against it. What about SMGs? With the Vector being one of, if not the most powerful SMG in the game, up against other people running meta weapons, this is the one you're seeing the most. With this weapon's ridiculously high rate of fire, the Gunpad is going to struggle to get kills on a Vector user. You need to engage them from outside their effective range or get chip damage before they can close the gap. If you're very good with grenades, your best option is going to be to outplay them with frag grenades. Otherwise, you're relying on hitting 3 headshots before they can close the gap and get body shots on you. For LMGs, you're looking at the M249 or MG42 you're up against. Against an M249 user, you want to peek them as fast as possible and get on top of them. If you try to engage them in their effective range, it's a toss-up between who hits more headshots. If you can close the gap and flank them, or just get a fast peek on them, you can out-DPS them and easily kill them. Against someone running an MG42, you want to try and kill them as fast as you can from cover if you can help it. Or you want to hold your range advantage and stay away from them. The MG42 is just a bigger vector, so you want to play it like it's a vector. You want to keep it away from you, or you want to kill them far before they can get a chance to shoot. Due to the MG42's lack of mobility, flanking is extremely important against it. As far as rifles go, most likely you're going to be running up against Kel-Tecs, as they are just the most efficient. You want to close the gap as soon as possible and get on top of them. If they can maintain about 50 to 100 meter range on you, they can pick you off far before you can kill them. If someone's running a Kel-Tec, they only need 3 body shots to kill you, where you need 3 headshots. If they're behind cover, you want to make your approach as fast as possible, or approach from a flank, or utilize as much cover as possible. As far as shotguns go, you're going up against a jackhammer or Saiga most likely. In this case, we'll be talking about the jackhammer. You want to try and keep distance if you can, but if forced, you want to utilize cover to your fullest potential. If you can avoid allowing someone with the jackhammer to catch you out of cover and close up, you can out DPS them before they can close in on you. As shotguns perform extremely poorly from any amount of range. Otherwise, if someone can close the gap on you with a jackhammer, you're most likely losing that fight. Since sniper rifles are more for personal choice than a clear winner, you want to close the gap and attack from flanks if you can help it. As with the weapon's low long-range damage, you're probably not scaring a sniper off of a sight line fast enough. So, much like a Kel-Tec, you want to close that gap and get on top of them before they can mount a proper defense. What about secondaries that are good with this weapon? Beyond the normal MAC-10 G18, a gyrojet pairs wonderfully with this weapon on longer maps such as Legacy Arena, Legacy Canal, Runoff, or Courtyard. Since the gyrojet can one-tap to the head at long range, this will give you a counter to anyone running a sniper or a rifle. And the weapon performs well enough at close range that the gyrojet's weakness of close range combat is completely negated. If you want a more fun weapon to run, the Desert Eagle is always a pretty good option, allowing you to one-tap targets up close. Now, for those that are more casually minded and just play the game for fun rather than trying to get as many kills as possible, this is a great weapon for you. Having good damage, good overall stats, and low recoil with high accuracy. Even people who aren't as skilled as high levels can reliably kill people with this weapon. For secondaries that pair well with this gun for casual play, you can run just about anything. It's a generalist weapon, so it works with just about everything. But that was a look at the Gunpad in Bad Business. I plan on talking about more weapons, weapons I've used a lot, and maybe even weapons I don't use, and the reasons I don't run them. So, I'll see everyone in the next episode whenever I decide to stop being lazy and make it. And show off a little gun game clip I had as I was recording gameplay for this that I feel I did extremely well on. So that'll be at the end of the video. And let me know if there's any weapons I need to talk about in terms of how good they are in a competitive style of gameplay.